It's been a while. Welcome to our pick a card reading for Virgo season. I'm hoping to be back on YouTube a bit more with maybe monthly pick a card readings. We'll see. It's been a little bit slower because life has been happening and I've been creating a lot of content for Patreon and other places, but I am moving off of Meta platforms this coming year, specifically off of Instagram and Threads. I'm not on Facebook anyway. And that means that I'll have more time to devote to TikTok and YouTube. So I'm hoping to be here more frequently with more content. And you can stay tuned by subscribing if you're not already. You can join my email list. The link is in the description box. If you'd like, you can become a patron for more exclusive content. I do monthly readings over there, predictive readings for each month, and I also do a whole lot of other group offerings and individual services and all kinds of stuff. You also get discounts on one-on-one readings. So if you're interested, if you're a fan and you would like some bonus content, you can check out the link below, as well as all of my other stuff, links to one-on-one services, etc. Okay, let's get into our reading for today. So, we are focusing on how to let go. And when I say how to let go, I'm specifically talking about how to cathartically, maybe gently, maybe firmly release something or someone, a habit, a person, a relationship, a job, whatever, fill in the blank, something that feels like it's holding you back, is unhealthy for you, is just not in the cards for you, or something that you've been hanging on to and you just can't quite figure out how to release it. This reading is for you. As usual, we're going to do 3 groups here. So this is group 1, 2, and 3. I also have a crystal for each group, so you can use the images of the backs of the cards or the images of the crystals, or both, to figure out which pile you're most drawn to today. So starting from left to right, we have the Star Spinner Tarot by Trungles. We have the Lilifer Tarot by Little Darkness. And we have the Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sterle. Take a second to focus in, tune into your body, see which pile is specifically drawing you. It could be more than one. And then meet me in your reading by jumping ahead using the timestamps. Hi, Group 1. If you chose the Star Spinner Tarot by Trungles and the crystal we have here, Wavelite, this is for you. I'm going to start off by reading the crystal, then we will look at your anchor card, which will pull us into the energy of this reading, and then we'll dig deeper. This moment in time is for you to suss out whether this is the right reading for you. If things feel like they're on track and it's resonating with where you're at right now, then this is the one. Okay, so Wavelite is connected to decisions, flow, and big picture. See the forest for the trees, especially with Wavelite. Big picture thinking is enhanced with this crystal, allowing you to see beyond the details and gain a better grasp over the decision you must make. Combining intuition with logic, Wavelite helps you look at all sides of a situation in order to make the best informed decision possible. Clearing energy blockages in the body, Wavelite sustains flow and regulates circulation for a healthy body and deep soul level cleansing. Use this crystal during the new moon to amplify its powers. This crystal is connected to the sign Aquarius and to the moon. And so it feels significant that at the time I'm recording this, we were just coming off of an Aquarius full moon. It was a very powerful one too. So you may have a connection to the sign of Aquarius. You could be ruled by the moon. You may have strong Cancer placements. Maybe you have an Aquarius moon. Or maybe this lunation was just really significant for you in some way. Or none of the above. We'll see when we get into the actual anchor card here. But the sense I'm getting right off the bat is that obviously it is decision time, and that makes sense. If you're choosing to let go of something or someone, it feels like you're sort of standing at a crossroads, and maybe the letting go process for you means really big changes are in store, and that's part of what makes it so difficult, is that it could have a sort of, not maybe a trickle effect, but more of like a big bang type of effect on your life if you are to release whatever this is. So again, we'll see what the tarot has to say, but the sense I'm getting is that that's part of the hesitation for you, and part of the reason this choice is so difficult is that it might have consequences or effects that impact a lot of different parts of your life, not just whatever this is. Your anchor card is the Wheel of Fate, which is also the Wheel of Fortune. So I'll hold this up. You can take a closer look at it. The Wheel of Fate in this deck has two figures. They appear to be angels, and they're facing each other in contemplation. And their bodies are sort of representing the wheel in this way. It looks like they're turning, and we can sort of see the backdrop or the energy of circles, and there's this suggestion that there's a cyclical nature to whatever's happening. This card is often bringing a message about fate or what feels fated. And so it could be that you are feeling sort of out of control, or you feel like there is something much bigger that's operating in this situation that's causing you to doubt your power and your ability to move forward. You could be having trouble walking away from something or someone because it feels like that is fated. You might feel like there's a sense of destiny or a sense of really, really incredible purpose associated with whatever this is. And so that could be keeping you stuck. You could be holding tightly because there's this sense of like, if I'm to let go, I'm walking away from something that's meant for me. And I do feel like for a lot of you, this is a relationship. For others of you, this could be a job, or this could be even a place. Like maybe you live somewhere and you feel like you're supposed to be there, or at one point you felt like you were supposed to be there. The sense that I'm getting coming through quite clearly, regardless of your situation, is that you were supposed to be there. You were supposed to be with them. You were supposed to do that job, move to that place, start that hobby, whatever we're talking about here. It feels like it absolutely was meant to be a part of your journey and of your life, but that's not supposed to keep you stuck in place. And that's an important distinction, to understand that something or someone can come into our life for a while and be very much a part of our learning path and a part of our soul path and deeply, deeply important to us. And that doesn't necessarily mean that they're meant to stay. It's this sort of bind that we can get caught in at times, thinking that just because something was there, just because something was big and important and significant in our life, that it's supposed to stay. And that's just not always the case. And so with the message of the Wheel of Fate coming in, it feels like part of this is you needing to learn how to surrender. And of course, that's why you're here. But it's just bringing us into your vibe in this moment, and it feels like needing to release control and figure out how to release control is kind of the ultimate barrier to catharsis and to letting go for you. So there could be this real attachment to a particular outcome, attachment to a particular vision that you had for your life. And it feels like whatever this is, it played a really big part in the vision that you had for your life. And that's part of what needs to be released, is that vision that you cultivated. And that can often be the hardest part, right? Like it's not just the relationship, it's not just the job, it's also all of the future potential that we associated with that. And so for you, I feel like attending to the grief that sits beneath this letting go process for you, not just over losing that thing, that person, but also over maybe needing to surrender a vision that you've held quite tightly to, and something that became maybe all consuming for you at some point. Maybe it's something that really kind of overtook your vision for your life. And that's part of the reason it feels so difficult to release your grip on this, because you've been consciously and subconsciously kind of like pointing yourself in this direction for so long that it feels really scary and maybe really painful to turn in another direction and understand that you might need to begin visioning anew. I'm going to put this off to the side so we can keep our eyes on it. And let's turn to the tarot to start getting a little bit more insight on the situation and then some advice for you. So what else is going on here that's important for group 1 to hear? So you have the Page of Swords, or I'm sorry, the Knight of Swords reversed. not the page. And we have the world reversed. Okay, so we have Aquarius energy coming through again. So Aquarius does feel really big. I should also mention that the Wheel of Fate or the Wheel of Fortune is connected to all of the fixed signs. So we have Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And then we also have Sagittarius because this is a Jupiterian card. The Knight of Swords, as I said, is an Aquarius card as well. And then the World is also connected to the fixed signs in a way, the ones I just mentioned. So we have big fixed energy here. The World can also be connected to Saturn at times. And so Saturn is the traditional ruler of Aquarius. And Saturn feels important here. Aquarius feels very important here. So this could be you again could have Aquarius placements, or maybe someone in your life has Aquarius placements. But it feels like there was someone who was potentially quite reckless. The Knight of Swords reverse can even be cruel, and it can be someone who really rushes forward without thoughts, without consideration, and makes reckless choices that end up having reckless consequences. With the World reversed, it feels like there's a lack of closure. And so this Knight of Swords could represent you. It could represent another person who's significant to this situation. But the World is definitely telling me that it feels incomplete. It feels like there's a lack of closure, there's a lack of conclusion, and that's probably one of the reasons it's so hard for you to move forward here, is that it just feels like there are all of these like tendrils that are still connected to you that haven't been severed, that haven't been released. And so one thing that is coming through quite clearly is that it might be helpful for you to actually do a cord cutting process or a cord removal process. There are a lot of ways to do that. You can do it ritualistically with candles. You can do a cord cutting meditation. There are plenty on YouTube. You can do any type of visualization, intuitive processes to release the energy of someone or something that you need to let go of. So like more, I guess not mundane, but more sort of traditional ways that are less magical might look like writing someone a letter that you're not going to send them and burning it, or getting rid of the possessions you have that are connected to a particular person, place, job, whatever. It feels like there's stuff that's still very much in your field connected to this, I'm going to say person, since that's true for a lot of you. But for some of you, if this is like a job, it could be like you still have a uniform, or you still have even like notebooks or stuff that's really like linking you into this energy and maybe keeping you a bit stuck here. And so that is feeling like step one. It's, are there practical things you can do to help release the energy associated with whatever this is? Step two, with the World reversed here, is recognizing that closure cannot always come from someone else. And that's one of the really painful things about this life, is that we don't always get the answers that we desire. We don't always get the conversations we desire. We don't always get the kindness from other people. We don't even get the truth a lot of the time. And so we can be left kind of like almost like circling the drain, where we're hoping, is that even the right phrase? I don't know, but it's coming to me. There's this idea of circling the drain, and I'm getting it with this Wheel of Fate too. Like it feels like it's ready to be released, it's ready to be cathartically let go of, but you're still sort of gripping on and wanting to hang on to something for fear that you're going to miss an opportunity or miss an answer. Or maybe some of you are thinking about like blocking someone, but you're afraid that they're going to reach out to you like right after you block them and you're not going to get the answer that you craved. It's very much that energy, like a wait and see. And if only I wait a little bit longer, I might get what I need. But that waiting game is actually keeping you stuck in place too, in a really big way. And it's also kind of making you beholden to whatever this other person or this other situation, however they want to handle this. It feels like they're feeling very much in the power seat and you feel disempowered in this situation. And so part of the process for you of letting go is actually reclaiming the power that you do have. And that's your power to focus on other things and your power to intentionally let go in the ways that you can. So you might not be able to hear the full truth. You might not be able to receive the answers that you crave, have the conversations that you want. But what you can do is you can let go of the objects. You can delete the shared playlists. You can get rid of the uniform. You can get rid of the physical, tangible stuff that reminds you of this person. Or I keep trying to open it up, but it really feels like a person for most of you. You can take these small actions and you can take back your power in subtle ways that over time will become more and more significant. It seems like you keep oscillating. Like there's this moment where you feel ready and then you kind of double back. Again, for fear that you're going to like miss the opportunity or miss the thing, or for fear that something's going to change and you just won't be there to see that change happen if you're to let go. And so there's this need to remind yourself that it won't miss you if it's meant for you. There's that phrase, what's meant for you won't miss you. And I have some problems with that because I don't think that's all true necessarily all the time. We live complex lives. Sometimes we don't get everything that we need or want, or necessarily everything that's kind of meant to cross our paths, because we have free will. And when other people are involved, that's especially true. But that is coming up as a reminder for you. So it feels true in this situation. That's what is meant for you will not miss you in this regard. And so if you are stuck twiddling your thumbs and waiting for someone or something to come along, trust that you can take the steps to move forward, and that's not going to impact anything that is meant for you. In fact, it's actually going to free you up so that you can be more receptive and open to whatever it is that's meant to come your way. So take these steps for yourself now. Be kind to yourself now by choosing to free yourself from the cycle of thinking and obsessing and fixation. And let's get more insight on how you can actually do that on top of what we've already got here. So we have the Seven of Wands. And we have the Two of Swords. Okay. So the Seven of Wands is a card that's often about defensiveness and self-protection and going to bat for something, fighting for something. It feels like in this moment you're needing to get angry. And I don't mean like violent. I don't mean like doing reckless stuff that harms other people or saying cruel stuff or whatever. What I mean is like allow yourself to get angry and feel your anger motivate you to protect yourself and to care for yourself. For a lot of you, you might have a complex relationship with anger. You might be afraid of anger. You might have a history of having really negative experiences with other people who are angry, or maybe you fear your own anger because you've received programming around anger being dangerous or volatile in some way. It feels like getting angry would be really, really good for you because you have this, see this like river that's flowing beneath this person here and they're standing above it. It feels like you have this river of emotion that hasn't been released because anger has not been accessed. And so often beneath anger, there's some degree of grief and pain and sadness, but we need to let ourselves feel the full scope of our emotions instead of keeping it sort of dammed up behind a certain emotion that we're afraid to feel. And so in this case, your anger is your access point to the sadness and the grief that's beneath that, but you need to feel it first. And so for a lot of you, that might look like, again, writing an angry letter, and you don't send it. You write everything that you would want to say to someone if you were to have another conversation with them. Or since we have the Two of Swords coming out here, there's this element of you sort of like when you push down or suppress your anger, it feels like it also makes your head like foggy. Like it almost creates this brain fog experience for you where because you're suppressing your emotions, you also can't see things clearly. And it feels like anger is a very clarifying emotion for you. It sort of burns away the fog and shows you what it is that you're meant to see. So anger is your pathway to clarity in this situation. And I feel like some ways that you can do that, besides like directing it at someone imaginatively with a letter, would be like doing something physical and visceral. The Seven of Wands can be a very visceral card. This is also a Leo card for what it's worth. And so we have more fixed energy here. And then the Two of Swords is a Libra card. So far, like pretty much all the fixed signs, and then a shout out to Sag and to Libra specifically. But the feeling is like we also have a butterfly on the Seven of Wands. So there's this energy of transformation that's available to you when you tap into sacred rage and when you allow yourself to see how you've been wronged, and not to get stuck in this mode of like self-victimization or seeing someone else as the villain, because that's not the pathway toward healing and empowerment. It just repeats the cycle of disempowerment. But seeing the truth of what's happened and allowing yourself to honor the ways that someone has mistreated you, the ways that someone has neglected you, overlooked you, harmed you, all of that is necessary and should not be cast aside. And it's common for us to cast that aside because we're afraid of it, or we're told that we're supposed to just be like benevolent and kind and all of this stuff. And that's great, but anger can be incredibly healing and cathartic too. So I really encourage you to do what you've got to do to tap into it, to tap into the sacredness of your anger, because it feels like it's also going to guide you toward a lot of clarity, and you'll be able to see things like in a whole new light, and that will make the path forward very, very clear. And so to recap what we've been through so far, it's like needing to understand that in this case, it will not miss you if it's meant for you. You letting go is not changing the trajectory of your life for the worse. It's changing it for the better. In order to let go, you partially need to recognize that closure is unlikely to come from another person in this situation. And part of the way that you can achieve closure here is through ritualistic practices like cord cuttings, like writing a letter and burning it safely in a fire-safe bowl. Like whatever you can do to help rid yourself of the literal, like tangible possessions that are connected to this energy. And then also the energetic attachment through practices like that. Tapping into your anger throughout this and allowing it to be this generative, cathartic energy that helps you clear the way for a clearer sight. And that's going to come with the Two of Swords. When you tap into that feeling, you're going to unlock something within you that helps you to see more clearly and to also trust your intuition in this situation. I'm going to end with one more card for you with a final bit of advice here on how to let go for group one. Yes, speaking of intuition, we have the High Priestess reversed. So this is a Cancer card. The High Priestess is deeply intuitive, has very clear sight, but when reversed is someone who is not trusting themselves, and someone who can also get really hooked into practices that maybe like cause them to outsource their knowing. Like actually listening to tarot readings can be a way of doing that. Not that I'm gonna diss you for being here and listening to me. I appreciate it, but also I do feel that a lot of what I'm telling you is stuff that you already know. And it's stuff that is deep within you that you probably just needed to be reminded of. And learning to trust yourself through this process is really powerful. And often these moments in our lives where we do have to let go come along as a moment that teaches us how to trust ourselves more deeply. And so with the High Priestess, it's this deep, deep call for you to trust your gut and to trust what you've seen, trust what you know. You might be receiving a lot of messages from your dreams. You might be getting a lot of clues coming through the subconscious, but you could be neglecting those messages. You could be neglecting the symbolism or overlooking it or questioning it. Something that often happens to me that I'll offer to you because it might stick is that when I'm really stuck on something, I'll go to bed and I'll ask my guides to send me something in the dream world that will help me heal that, clarify that, get the answers or the perspective that I need. And I'll often find that the first thing that's on my mind when I wake up the next morning is really, really potent. And so you might want to make like a dream pouch with herbs that supports navigating the subconscious in the dream world. Mugwort can be great for that. Lavender can be great. It's putting a little bit of it under your pillow in a pouch and setting an intention before you go to sleep. There's so many different ways to do this, but you might want to pick up dream journaling and begin just playing around with it. And if you already do that, maybe go toward the messages that you've already received and just sit with them and allow them to speak to you a little bit more clearly, because I feel like there's so much depth here ready for you. But again, you haven't been trusting yourself. And when you do fully let go of whatever or whoever this is, I feel like this high priestess is also going to turn around and you're going to have so much more self trust. And actually, your own intuitive skills are going to come online in a much bigger way. And it's something that's going to be so sturdy and true for you. But that comes through practice and that comes through the lived experience of saying, I'm going to trust myself and then doing it. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you so much, Group 1. If you enjoyed this, please do give me a like and a comment. You can subscribe for more. And if you're interested in exclusive content, go check me out on Patreon, sign up for my newsletter, and more. Bye. Hi, Group 2. If you chose the Lilifer Tarot by Little Darkness, this is your reading. We also have Golden Healer coming through as your crystal, so I'm going to start there and then we will jump into the tarot. This card represents your anchor, so this is going to plug us into your current situation, give us a little bit more context, and also act as a little intuitive checkpoint for you to make sure this is the right reading for you. So Golden Healer is connected to abundance, expansion, and golden rays. Universal life force flows strongly with the Golden Healer. With an exceedingly high vibration, Golden Healer carries bioscalar waves, an abundant form of power that increases in spatial mass. This potent energy can expand awareness across multiple dimensions, transforming your vibration all the way down to the cells in your body. Connected to the solar plexus, the stone allows the highest form of healing for your identity and self-worth, releasing ancestral trauma that may have affected you and been passed down through your family lineage. This crystal is connected to the sign of Leo and to the sun. So, all right, already we're getting some ancestral content coming through here. This could be related to family, or this could be connected to an issue that has run in your family in some way. Maybe there's some generational trauma associated with whatever it is you're asking about. Maybe you're letting go of a family member. Maybe you're letting go of an ancestral pattern or something that's really deeply embedded within your family line that is significant to whatever it is you're asking about today. We'll get more insight, but the sun showing up is also telling me that this could be connected to the way that you shine and take up space and express yourself, the way that you naturally embody your light and your energy. So there could be some confidence aches here. It could be something that has damaged your sense of self-confidence, something that's caused you to not believe in yourself. And I do feel just a lot of self-doubt in general coming up. And I see we have a reversal, so we'll get into what that is. But at times, for me, reversals can indicate that there is a sense of doubt about whatever it is that's going on for us. So you have the Seven of Wands reversed coming through as your overall energy for the reading. This is a Leo card, specifically Mars in Leo. And I'll turn it right side up so you can check it out. But we have this figure that is carrying two torches, and they're walking almost like a sort of tightrope situation across other torches. And there's a lot of hesitation, ambivalence, some degree of fear, but also a lot of courage. And so this person is doing something that's probably kind of painful. They're stepping on flames, and they're also doing something that's really hard. Like, it would be difficult to actually walk across these wands in the way that they're doing it. And we also have flowers down below them, but also a snake right here that's poking up and sort of threatening in a way. I mean, it's a cute little snake, but there's also something threatening about this. Like, if you take a wrong step, if you hesitate, if you question your abilities, you might fall. And you might experience more pain if you do that. We also have lightning rods that are coming down from the sky here, which is indicating this general sense of instability and maybe shocking events that have occurred. And so all of that is happening in the context of a reversal. And the Seven of Wands reverse can sometimes mean that we need to build, again, speaking of confidence, our confidence back up. We're really doubting our capacity to protect ourselves, to stand up for ourselves. Maybe we need to defend ourselves. Maybe we need to get something off our chest or to set a really clear boundary, but we're fearful about doing that. It feels like there have been a lot of challenges and a lot of hiccups. Seems like almost too soft a word here, so I'm not going to use it, but like there have been many roadblocks, challenges, and barriers that you've been trying to overcome connected to whatever this is. And for some of you, again, since we have Leo coming through twice here, Leo is really significant. This could be something that happened for you just in Leo season. And whatever time you're listening to this, the last Leo season that you experienced. As I'm recording this, we are in Virgo season now. It is August 2024, and so we just came off of Leo season. But again, yeah, just go to whatever year makes sense for you. If it's not an actual time thing, it could be that this is connected to a Leo person or the Leo part of your natal chart. So looking at whatever house or houses contain the sign of Leo in your natal chart, and specifically any planets or placements connected to Leo or in the sign of Leo. So some of you might have Mars in Leo or Sun in Leo, but it feels like there's this real challenge around self-expression and confidence that has maybe been marred and like torn down by repetitive patterns and cycles of suppression. And the Seven of Wands reverse sometimes does speak to me of like suppressing anger, and that was a big theme in group ones, and actually the Seven of Wands came up, so you might want to go watch group one if it was also speaking to you and you were trying to decide between these two. It could definitely be resonant, but the sense I get is that this pattern of suppressing anger and suppressing your natural inclination to defend yourself and to speak up for yourself is a big part of this. So whatever it is that you're trying to release, you might need to actually, and I said the same thing to group one, you might need to get angry. You might need to tap into your energy and stand up for yourself in order to let go and to move through this blockage. Let's go deeper into the tarot to find out more about what's happening here. So what is going on for group 2, and what does group 2 need to know in order to move on and let go? Okay. The Ace of Swords connected to all of the air signs. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. The Seven of Pentacles reversed, connected to Taurus, specifically Saturn and Taurus. And then finally we have the Nine of Wands reversed, connected to Sagittarius, specifically Moon and Sagittarius. Okay. So first, what you need to know is that you have seen something clearly. It feels like you've been in waiting mode and you've decided that you don't have the patience or the desire even to continue waiting on something. Maybe you've been waiting on closure, waiting on a conversation, waiting on information to come through that could help you move forward. Again, really similar to group one. I'm going to stop saying it after this, but you might want to watch it. The Seven of Pentacles reversed is often about losing faith in something that we've been putting a lot of work into. And so it could be that like you're feeling impatient for something to materialize at a certain pace or on a certain schedule, and you've been waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're questioning whether or not it's time to give up on this because it's not feeling fruitful. The Nine of Wands reversed is actually a really similar energy, in that this is something that we've put a whole bunch of energy, time, and focus into, and it's feeling like we've reached our limit and we're questioning, is this time to just give up? For some of you, this is work related. For others of you, this is a relationship. For others of you, this is a family matter. And for some of you, this is like a healing path, like something that you've been trying to heal for a really long time. And again, it could be related to the family lineage, to ancestral trauma and generational trauma and patterns that live on within you. For a lot of you, again, it's like it's more of a work path or like a hobby or a pursuit or a craft or something that you've put a lot of time and energy into, but you're like, I need to move on because this is just not producing the results that I was hoping for. For some of you, you might be entrepreneurs and you might have been trying really, 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 really hard for a long time to make something work, and you're reaching your breaking point and you're feeling burnt out and you're questioning if you can keep going. And that's why you've come to this reading, because you're like, I think I need to let go of this dream, of this vision, of this path, because it's just not serving me and it feels like it's only depleting me. So for some of you, this is more of like you're coming here kind of with like a should I let go question. And I want to speak to that in a second because that does feel like a necessary question for some of you. But for others where this is more to do with a relationship, with a job, and you've reached your breaking point and you're ready to call it quits and you feel exhausted and you feel drained and you feel like you've hit a wall, your advice here is to focus on your well-being right now. It feels like pulling your energy back and actually just reinvesting in your health, in your physical body, and in the things that bring you joy is a really important step in this process. The Ace of Swords is a moment that it can feel like an aha, can feel like the beginning of a new way of seeing things. It can be a shift in perspective or a moment of clarity or incoming information or something that shifts the way that we see something or the way that we think. The Seven of Pentacles reversed, I spoke about a little bit, but this is like something has come in that is now telling me that it's no longer time to wait, that it's time to throw in the towel and move on and grab my energy back. Like I'm getting big, again, burnout vibes from this because we have these reversals here. And it feels like that's something that was made aware to you either by just doing an honest check-in with yourself and realizing like, I don't feel well, like this is really dragging me down, this feels bad. Or this could have come through a conversation or through some type of insight that told you it's now time to move on and now we just need to figure out how. So, knocking the table. I'm going to pull a few more cards to get more specific advice. But again, what I'm seeing so far is that the first step for you here is actually just focusing on the day to day. It's focusing on your material reality. It's focusing on your health. It's focusing on the work that you have to do, on the daily tasks you have to do, and giving your mind and your spirit a break from whatever this is. It could be that all you need is a little bit of space away from it in order to get the clarity that you seek. And you can kind of consider it more of a pause if it feels too scary to fully let go in this moment. Again, you can consider it a sort of like, I'm going to take a step back and I'm not going to tell myself I'm giving up forever. I'm just going to like decrease the amount of energy that I'm putting into this so that I can get a bit more distance and a bit more perspective. For those of you who are questioning if it is time to let go of this, I want to do a little check-in to just ground in that because it feels like a potent question for a lot of us. Okay, is it time for group 2 to let go of this person, this job, fill in the blank, whatever it is that they're considering letting go of? Is it time? Okay. The answer I'm getting is no. So again, I'm going to come back to the job message for some of you because that feels really significant. And then we'll speak to other scenarios here. I get the sense that you're just tired. I get the sense that you're ready to throw in the towel on something because you're wiped out, because you've put so much energy into it and you need a break. I wonder if you could take a break. I wonder if you could take time off, take a vacation, do something restorative for yourself. If you don't have the means to take a vacation, maybe it's more like spending an afternoon away from your phone and away from stimuli, going to the water, doing something really restorative, going to the beach, going into nature, going for a hike, doing something that puts you outside and allows you to take some mental space. For some of you, meditation or daily practices, daily rituals could be really good for you right now. So getting into the habit of doing a daily ritual where you're able to like shut off the external activity and stimuli and come into yourself and just give yourself space. And also, more than anything, rest is so important because it feels like, again, like, and I've been hesitating this whole time because it was like, is it time? Is it not time? For most of you, it's feeling like it's not time to let go of whatever this is. And that's why you can't let go of it. That's why you're having trouble letting go, is that you're not meant to let go. You're meant to actually take a break and come back to yourself and reassess the amount of energy you've been pouring into it. There's a little bit of the like, take one step toward the gods and they'll take two steps toward you kind of thing happening here, where it's like you need to let your guides and even other people show up for you. And maybe you've been trying to go it alone and you've been trying to carry like all of the stuff. You've been trying to do everything yourself and be super independent and super autonomous, and that can be valuable at times and during seasons, but we are not lone wolf. We are not creatures that are meant to do everything ourselves. And I think that's part of this adjustment process for you, is actually coming into your self-worth while also recognizing that it's okay to receive help. It's okay to receive support. And in fact, that's what community is all about. And if we don't open up to receiving support, then it's going to be really hard for us to be in relationship with other people in a healthy way. So for some of you, like, you're so tired, and big hug, like, I can feel it. It feels exhausting. It feels really draining. And you're needing to just take a few steps back, set new boundaries with yourself, engage and prioritize restorative practices and rest and hydration and taking care of your physical vessel. And when you do that, you're going to feel so much better. And of course, again, we don't all have the means to take a big vacation and take time off or go get massages. And so do whatever it is that is within your reach that's not going to add extra stress to your plate. If self-care is stressful, it's not going to serve its purpose. So make sure that whatever it is you're doing feels manageable. And so that might mean taking a 15, 20-minute nap. That might mean turning off your phone for an hour if you're someone who can't like practically be with your phone off for a whole day. Like, do whatever you got to do and adjust your expectations of yourself first and foremost. And I think when you begin to do that, you're going to notice that your attitude toward whatever this is really improves over time. Again, for most of you, it's feeling job, school, study, craft. Like, there's something that has a lot to do with your purpose and what you're here to do, and you're feeling exhausted and maybe burnt out and dismotivated and motivated. For others of you, if this is more relational or more about healing, it's really the same thing. It's like you need some distance, you need a break, and giving yourself a break is going to give you the space that you need to see it all through much, much clearer eyes. Let me get a little bit more advice for you to wrap up. Okay, so we have the Page of Pentacles in the reverse, we have the 10 of Cups, and we have the 5 of Cups in the reverse. So we have earth signs coming through: Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. We have Pisces, specifically Mars in Pisces, and we have Scorpio, specifically Mars in Scorpio. So a lot of Martian energy today. So the Page of Pentacles reversed is again telling me that for a lot of you, this is related to school, to work, to something that you've been putting your time and energy into, and something that's really kind of practical and grounded. For a lot of you, you're feeling maybe like you're too new at something and you're fearing that you don't have what it takes to actually do it. And there could be a lot of comparison coming through. Like, I'm comparing myself to people who've been doing this for years, or I'm comparing myself to an imaginary person who's better at it than I am. And bringing in that comparison is hurting you and causing you to be really self-critical about what it is that you are capable of. The 10 of Cups here is a reminder that community is here for you. And so it's really important that you lean on other people. It's really important that if you're having like cruel thoughts or getting stuck in a rut or you need support, that you reach out and ask for it. And that can be scary, right? It can be really vulnerable, but this is part of the growth process that you're going through right now. And as you reach out and ask for help, you might see that your passion and your motivation flows back in and that you, again, just needed a break. Like you can't pour from an empty cup, and it feels like you've been trying to do that for a long time now. With the Five of Cups reversed coming up, there's also a need for you to maybe release or be with, get present with some grief. This could be grief from the past specifically. It does feel like it. It could be stuff related to sexuality even for some of you, and that's specific. But if you are connecting to this message as being about healing, it could be that there's sexual healing that's in store for you and experiences of the past that really need to be given space to breathe and to show you something about what it is that you need. For a lot of you, coming back to this original message of the Seven of Wands reversed, there's this maybe self-judgment around not standing up for yourself, not saying no, not setting a boundary. And you are really needing to practice self-compassion first and maybe self-forgiveness. Maybe there's nothing to even forgive yourself for, but you've been stuck in self-judgment for so long that you feel like everything is your fault. And that might be a way of maintaining control under circumstances where you feel out of control. So if you get really hung up thinking, I should have done this differently and that would have changed the whole trajectory of this situation, it's time for a little bit of like ego checking in that way to understand that you're not the only player here and that other circumstances, other people led you to where you are too. And while it's great to take responsibility for our choices and for the way that we contribute to situations, that can also be a bit of a double-edged sword where we then start seeing ourselves as solely responsible for the circumstances that we're facing. And that, again, can be a bit egoic. It's like, I'm responsible for everything means that like I'm all powerful, and that's just not true. We make choices and we can take accountability for those. We do stuff, we can take accountability for the way we behave. But at a certain point, we need to come back to compassion. Ideally, that's the first stop, is coming to compassion for ourselves, offering ourselves love, offering ourselves forgiveness. For some of you, I frequently mention the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is an ancient Hawaiian prayer. The most distilled basic form is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. You can repeat it to yourself. You can place your hands over your heart. You can go to a river or a body of water and say it over and over until you really feel it. And often that's a practice that can help us access grief. We can direct that prayer to ourselves or to other people that we feel like we need to rectify a situation with. Or if we're trying to get over resentment even, it can be a really beautiful practice that helps us ask for forgiveness, if only to the heavens and only to our guides. And in doing so can release us from the sort of like drama triangle that keeps us stuck seeing one person as a victim and another as a villain, and that keeps us in a state of disempowerment. So if that resonates with you, that might be something you want to practice and try. But spending time, since we have two water cups, since we have two cards, I can't talk suddenly. Since we have two cups cards coming out suddenly at the end of the reading, we're being brought into the emotionality of it. Whereas before we were in fire, earth, and air, very much in the practical and the tangible and the theoretical and the energetic. And now we're in the emotions. And so that flow of the reading itself is telling me that after you go through all this stuff and you rest and you like attend to the stuff that needs attending to, that's when all the feelings come up. That's when the grief comes up. That's when the sadness and the ache and the fatigue kind of makes way or gives way to grief. And being with the grief and allowing yourself to be held by other people through that is your way of letting go of the heavy emotions that have been clouding you. And when you let go and like move through those feelings and get present with them first, don't just try to get rid of them, but like when you make space for tough feelings, allow yourself to be present with them and allow yourself to release them, that's when you experience the kind of relief that you're seeking. So it feels like keeping yourself in this state of exhaustion and fatigue and burnout is actually a way of avoiding the deeper emotions that are waiting for you to process them. So give yourself space to do that. Give yourself space to feel, to rest, to take a step back and to receive support, to receive kindness and compassion from other people too. And maybe you need to ask for that. And I feel like when you do that, letting go of the emotions is going to be so much easier. And then you can more honestly reassess if it's time for you to let go of whatever this is in your life. And again, for most of you, it feels like a no. For most of you, it just feels like you need that distance in order to see it more clearly and in order to come back to a place of love. Okay, group 2, thank you so much. If this resonated with you and supported you, please do like this video. Please leave me a comment and let me know what stuck for you. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you'd like a personal reading, you can sign up or find my link. I cannot talk. Suddenly I'm having trouble communicating at the end of your reading. But you can get a personal reading via the link in the description below. And you can also become a patron to access a lot of exclusive content, monthly predictive readings, group offerings, individual readings, and more. So check it out. And I'm wishing you the best as you move forward. Hi, group 3. Welcome to your reading. We're going to be exploring how to let go of whatever it is that you feel hooked into. You chose the Modern Witch Tarot and Malachite. So I'm going to start with the crystal, then we'll look at your anchor card for this reading to make sure this is you. If you resonate with the stuff I'm sharing at the beginning, then this is most likely your reading. You can always go back and watch one of the other two or both of the other two if they speak to you too. Okay, let's get into it. So Malachite is about cleansing trauma, intensity, and transformation. Malachite takes no prisoners, at least with your spiritual journey. A powerful conduit for energy, Malachite cleanses the emotional body of trauma, whether that's from this life or a past life. A teacher of emotional responsibility, Malachite asks that you take accountability for your feelings and helps you to release patterns that no longer serve you. Look deep within the whirls and patterns of Malachite to access other dimensions within yourself. Explore different timelines and hidden messages, bringing your subconscious to light. Malachite is connected to Scorpio, Capricorn, and Venus. So those signs might be significant for you. Maybe you're a Venusian person. You could be a Taurus or Libra rising, or have strong Taurus or Libra placements, or just a very prominent Venus in your charts. Scorpio, Cap, or Venusian people could be significant to whatever this situation is for you, and we'll dig more into that. But the first thing that's coming up is that it does feel as though releasing emotions from the past is a big part of this process. And so maybe a big part of the hang up here and a reason why you're struggling so much to move forward is that there are these really embedded patterns, emotional patterns and psychological patterns that are keeping you stuck in place, maybe attached to relationships or jobs or situations that are mirroring back to you old ways of being that you've maybe outgrown, but that you feel stuck in to some degree and compelled to keep repeating. So for some of you, if you subscribe to the idea of past lives and prior incarnations, it could be that this is very karmic material for you, that this is stuff, cycles and loops that you've been repeating over and over because there's something that isn't quite complete, or something that you haven't integrated, or something that you haven't learned fully. Let's get into the tarot to find out a little bit more. So we have Justice coming out in the reverse, which can definitely be an indicator of karmic material. And when I say that, I'm an evolutionary astrologer, and so much of the work that I do astrologically has to do with karmic patterns and karmic cycles. And karma is not a negative thing There are a lot of misconceptions about what it means and how it operates in our lives. Karma is energy. It's energy that comes with us into this life and into the next one. And it's energy that we're creating all the time through our choices and our actions. And it can be considered something that we might repeat again if there's a sort of trail that gets created that feels incomplete and inconclusive. And there's something that we need to sort out or integrate within ourselves. And that can show up in different relationships, different situations that keep coming up over and over and over again. So a lot of the time in evolutionary astrology, we're looking at those patterns through the lens of the natal charts. And maybe that's something that compels you, that could be valuable for you, is looking to your natal chart to understand how you might get sort of like, you might trip over the same tripwires over and over again, or get caught in similar patterns in similar situations. And it feels like that is really resonant here. Justice in the reverse, this is a Libra card. And so it feels like injustice is significant. You might feel wronged, or you might have wronged someone else, or there might just be a sense of injustice in the situation. Like it feels like there's a deep imbalance, like someone's been treated unfairly. And that actually, a drive for justice, might be keeping you stuck in whatever this situation is. You might be waiting for justice to be restored. You might be waiting for the truth, waiting for something to be rectified, for someone to apologize and take accountability, or for something to play out in the way that you want it to play out. And I believe, or I feel so far, that that's likely keeping you from moving on, because you're sort of treading water, waiting for something to change, but that's putting you into this position of disempowerment to a degree, because your ability to move on hinges on someone else or something else. And so right off the bat, I feel like we're needing to call back our power and our ability to make peace with something. And that doesn't necessarily mean forgiving. It doesn't mean forgetting. It just means accepting the situation for what it is. And so I do feel like acceptance is a big word for you. Accepting reality as it is in this moment is a pathway toward letting go. Let's get more insight on the situation. What does group 3 need to hear in this moment? Two of Pentacles, Capricorn, the Emperor reversed, Aries, and the Eight of Pentacles, Virgo. Okay. So we do have a lot of cardinal energy. Libra, Capricorn, and Aries are all cardinal signs. And what signs did we have again? We have Capricorn here too, and Scorpio and Venus. And I mentioned Libra associated with Venus, and also Taurus. And then again, Virgo over here with the Eight of Pentacles. So those signs could be significant. Those seasons could be significant. We are in Virgo season right now. We'll enter Libra season after that. Cap season will begin later this year. We have actually like almost everything except for Sag here. Yeah. So we have Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, missing Sagittarius, but then we have Capricorn. Yeah. So what I'm feeling here, the reason I'm naming these is because it feels like if you're listening to this in real time or at whatever time you're listening, that time of the year is very significant to you. So Virgo season through Capricorn season feels really, really, really potent. And there could be a lot of change that unfolds for you during this time related to this situation. The Two of Pentacles is a card of balance. It's when we're juggling two things and trying to figure out how to carry two responsibilities, two situations, two priorities at the same time. The Emperor reverse can be an energy that is quite destructive and someone who misuses their power and authority, and it feels really deeply connected to the Justice card for me. And these are actually polar signs, Libra and Aries. And so there could be two people that are in some type of battle here. There could be a situation where someone has mistreated you, or maybe you've mistreated someone else. Maybe you were juggled. Maybe this was like a love triangle situation, or a situation with a job that involved two or three people that felt really nasty. It feels like there was a lot of tough energy here. And I'm not saying that to judge you at all by any stretch of the imagination. I'm saying that the situation itself felt unhealthy for you, and it feels like this injustice, whatever occurred, is really eating away at you and causing harm to you. And it feels like that energy is resonating beyond the situation, like it's really continuing to impact you and kind of feel psychically really overwhelming and unhealthy. The Eight of Pentacles is drawing me into work again. So for some of you, this does feel like a work situation, although it does not have to be. For some of you, you might be an artist or a creator or someone, and this is a really specific message, but for some of you, you may have had someone copy you or someone take advantage of you financially, or someone do something that felt like you could have been plagiarized, or someone might have done something that really was messed up. And they could have misused their power and authority and put you in a position where you were quite vulnerable and just mistreated. For others of you, if this is like a romantic situation, it feels like someone could have been using you, and they could have been using you for stability, for your resources, for your skills, for your material supports, for your practical supports. And you could have been put into a situation again where you were in some sort of love triangle, or if not that, someone could have been really just neglecting you and your relationship and focusing more on their priorities and needing you to kind of like pick up their slack. And so it feels like you were carrying a lot of responsibility here, but you were not being honored. You were not being treated kindly. And that's like an understatement. It feels like for many of you, you were really, really mistreated in this situation. So I'm so sorry. This feels really messed up. For others of you where it's not that severe, it feels like, again, you're maybe reflecting on a situation where you're waiting for someone to give you a piece of truth or to apologize for the ways that they may have taken advantage of you or neglected you, or even just like overlooked you if it's not so serious. For some people, I'm getting this thing around, like maybe if it was a short-term relationship and you felt used and then tossed away, cast aside, it could be that there's that feeling of rejection and grief and pain and even humiliation that's coming up in the aftermath of that situation. And so allowing yourself to feel those feelings and to like see it for what it is and to take stock of the other person's behavior if it's about another person, all of that is supportive here. It feels like those practical measures of even like, let me record exactly what happened. Let me like note what happened so I can really wrap my head around it and maybe see the ways that I was wronged here, the ways that I was mistreated, as a way to sort of like let it go. Like maybe you need to affirm your own experience and tell you that your perspective and your perception of what went down is actually what happened, because there could be a sort of like gaslighty component to this too, where you might be trying to convince yourself out of what happened because it might feel easier to deny your reality. And again, like it feels confusing. There's a lot of different scenarios that are flowing through, so there might be a lot of people watching this reading. But it feels like there's just so many different like so many different tendrils at play here. So let's get specific insight on how you can let go and how you can move forward here. For some of you, you could have even been blamed for something that was not your fault, or maybe made a scapegoat in a situation. And this could again be an experience that is like deeply karmic for you, like something that has occurred for you so many times where you're like, why does this keep happening? Why do I keep getting treated this way? So let's see. Wow, so many reversals. Okay. So we have the Three of Wands reversed, the Four of Pentacles reversed, and the Sun also reversed. Three of Wands is an Aries card, Four of Pentacles is Cap, and the Sun is Leo. So we again have more cardinal energy and then fixed coming through. For how to move forward, part of this is actually setting your sights on a different future. This could be difficult because it could be something you were really hooked into. And for those of you who resonated with group 1, you might want to rewatch or watch that one because it could resonate too. We're getting some similar themes coming up. But the Three of Wands reversed is telling me that it's time to stop waiting for a future to pan out the way that you hoped it to, and to set your sights on a different horizon. The Three of Wands is a card that's about expansion and our ships coming in and kind of like getting some degree of payoff or progress from work that we've put in or from intentions that we've set. But when it shows up in the reverse, it feels like that's not coming. The ships are not coming in. And if they do come in, it's not going to be on our timeline. It's going to be something that happens at a much slower pace than what we truly want. And it might hold us back from growing and healing and moving in a direction that's healthier for us if we keep waiting. With the Four of Pentacles reversed, it feels like there is a need to release control. And so it could be that part of this waiting game for you and part of feeling stuck on whatever this is that you're really wanting the outcome that you hoped for to play out. And again, it's like, I need this person to apologize to me. I need to have this like honest conversation. I need to see accountability taken. I need justice. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having those desires. And in a fair and just world, we would all get the accountability and the apology and the justice that we deserve. Unfortunately, that just doesn't always happen. And so we need to at times give ourselves that justice by living as lovingly and passionately and boldly as we can for ourselves, by choosing ourselves and by not allowing someone to take away our power after they've already taken away our power over and over and over again through their actions. Because there comes a certain point where we're doing that to ourselves when we stay stuck on their energy and when we stay stuck in a situation, stuck waiting, stuck hoping, stuck ruminating and fuming over something that went down. It ends up taking a toll on us. And I feel like that's where you're at. So with the Four of Pentacles reversed, there's this need to accept that this didn't go the way you wanted it to. And maybe to release attachment to, again, a particular outcome and to the security that that outcome seemed to offer you. So let's say you were in a relationship and you're having trouble letting go of this person. And part of that is because they acted as a sort of security blanket for you, or that relationship became so familiar that it seemed to almost become a part of you, like a part of your identity was rooted in that relationship or that person or the security that it offered you. And there could be a practical component, like maybe there's a financial situation here that's at play that makes it more difficult. But I feel like for you, releasing attachment to it going the way you want it to is a really big part of this. And in that process, reclaiming the joy and reclaiming the energy and the passion that you have within you that has been diminished and suppressed throughout this situation. It feels like for a lot of you, you've really had to hold yourself back. Like you could not shine in this situation. You were not able to fully be yourself. You were not able to be witnessed in your brilliance and your beauty and your passion and your gifts. And it feels like Leo coming up with the Sun reversed, Leo's connected to the heart. Leo rules over the hearts. And your heart was not being honored here. Whether this was love or work or whatever, it was not being honored. And you have so much to give. You have so many skills. You have so much power within you. And I feel like you need to see that again. I'm going to flash Malachite again. And for those of you who might want to take a screenshot of this feels important. You might want to work with Malachite. You might want to focus on this sort of release work during Scorpio and Capricorn season this year, whenever you're listening to this, because this is, again, a crystal that can support us through the release of trauma and through the release of patterns that have kept us really stuck and embedded in a particular repetitive cycle that has caused us pain. And at a certain point, we need to recognize that there's something we're also opting into here. If something continues to happen to you in work or in relationships, it's not that this isn't in a victim blaming sense. It's not your fault when other people harm you or when people take advantage of you. But there's something within you that also needs healing that can lead to you having stronger boundaries and a stronger sense of discernment that can prevent this pattern from recurring. And so that might mean like the next time you're presented with the opportunity to engage in a situation that resembles this one, you choose differently because you love yourself and because you respect yourself and because you have stronger discernment that is going to flag when something feels off, is going to flag when something feels wrong, when something feels sticky or dangerous or unsettling. You're going to listen to that. And so there's something really here about self-respect, self-trust, and making different conscious choices to free yourself from repeating a specific cycle that keeps coming up over and over and over again. I'm drawn to this specific line here: explore different timelines and hidden messages, bringing your subconscious to light. For a lot of you, there is stuff that's coming through for you, subconscious messages that are like trying to flag stuff, and they could be coming up in your dreams. It could be coming up in synchronicities. It could be coming up in the lyrics of songs that catch you at just the right moments, or a message that comes through that's like startling and how relevant it is to you. And those are trying to tell you something. So try pausing in the moments when you feel like, oh shit, this feels important, this feels big. Take a second, take stock of it, sit with it, and allow it to really flow through you and into you, and allow yourself to really feel it. And one way you can do this is by getting present, breathing, and opening up to receiving. If you're someone who reads for yourself, if you read tarot, if you're a diviner, if you do any sort of intuitive channeling work, that first step of settling in, getting present, and opening up is so important, and it can drastically change the types of messages that we receive. It can help us open up and actually be receptive, which is very important when you're trying to receive information, to be receptive, because otherwise we might like project our egoic desires and our fears and all of that other stuff onto whatever it is we're seeing and onto whatever it is we're consuming. And if we get into that sort of like autopilot mode or fearful mode, it's really going to shift our perception, and it's going to impact the choices that we make, impact our feeling, and keep us stuck in the same loop. So I say that because I get the sense that a lot of you are people who like have a tarot deck at home and pull cards for yourself, or get readings a lot, or listen to a lot of YouTube readings. And it feels like you really need to be discerning with that information too, because it could be shifting your perspective in a way that is not supportive. And it could be even feeding you what it is that you want to hear instead of what it is that you need to hear. And in this moment, what you consume, what you take in, who you listen to is really, really, really impactful. You feel a bit porous. And for some of you, that could be because you're healing from trauma. You're healing from situations that have been really devastating and really hurtful. And that can make us very, very sensitive to input, and very, very sensitive to criticism and judgment and other people's perceptions and their realities and all the stuff they project onto us. And so for you, there's this big like firming up and healing process that's happening. And that's partially, again, through releasing our attachment to this outcome, letting ourselves feel the grief and the anger and everything else that's there waiting for us when we do let go. And to also allow ourselves to come back to our hearts and to come back to the things that move us, the things that sustain us and support us. Maybe there's a craft that you've been putting to the wayside or neglecting. Maybe there's a passion you have that has been on the back burner because you've been so focused on this situation. And I think taking baby steps and like picking up a paintbrush or picking up a pen or doing dancing, moving, doing something that feels generative and creative for your spirit is going to be a real powerful gateway for you toward healing all of the stuff that you've been through in this situation. And I keep saying this situation, but again, like for a lot of you, this is a whole lifetime of stuff, or like many years or many months or many different scenarios that have been so repetitive and consistent. For some of you, this is like a friendship thing, like people who wronged you, people who mistreated you, people who took advantage of you and then made you out to be the villain in a situation, and needing to like understand that that's their stuff. And as painful as it is to be mischaracterized and vilified and all of that, it's also not our responsibility to manage anyone else's perspective or perception of us and to try to like shift that. Like, they will face their stuff eventually. They will maybe even go through a similar situation where the tables are turned. Your job is to take care of you. Your job is to love on you. Your job is to bring back your spirit and to restore your sense of self, to come back to loving and passion and care and self expression and all of the stuff that makes you alive, that keeps your heart beating, that gives you life. So come back to those practices. Do your best. It's a day by day process. This is not a one fell swoop thing. This is something you commit to each day. It's like letting go of the need to prove myself, letting go of the need to make or force a certain outcome, letting go of the need for someone else to affirm my reality, because I can do that myself. I know what happened. I know how I was treated, and I get to honor my truth and my experience, move forward and take care of myself, and know that that stuff is not mine to take care of anymore. So it feels like there's this huge release, and I do get the sense, if you're listening to this like shortly after I post it, that this upcoming eclipse season is going to be really powerful for you. Whenever you're listening to this, it feels like the next lunar cycle, the next lunation, the next eclipse window is going to be really, really potent, and maybe setting an intention to release these patterns, to release the hooks, or to pull the hooks out of you, and to move forward into a more joyful and fulfilling future. Set that intention, recreate your vision without all of this stuff, and allow that to guide you forward. And I feel like the letting go is going to happen naturally. Okay, thank you so much, Group 3. If this was supportive and resonant, please do give me a like. Add a comment. Let me know what stuck with you, what felt true for you, and how you're doing. And subscribe if you've not already subscribed to my channel. If you're interested in a personal reading, you can find the link below. I offer live and recorded readings, and you can also become a patron for more exclusive content, readings like this, and all sorts of other stuff, including discounts on my other services. So check it all out if you're into it. And again, thank you so much. I'm wishing you all the best as you move forward. Take care.